Hi friends, welcome back to 5 Minute Modern. My name is Cindy, and today we're talking about Mike Kelley, a unique artist whose work explores childhood, nostalgia, and shame. And just one note before we begin, we will be discussing self-harm in this video. As always, I encourage you to use your discretion in deciding whether this video is right for you or not. Like other artists we've discussed, Kelley had a wide-ranging artistic practice, which included painting, performance, assemblage, and more. Obviously, that's a lot to cover in 5 minutes, so today I want to focus in on his Memory Ware series. The Memory Wares are large, typically flat assemblages with found objects grouted into place in abstract compositions. And it's hard not to feel a sense of youthful delight on first engaging with these works. My partner compared them to the I Spy books from our childhood days. And there is a playful element to these works. They're packed with things like strands of fake pearls, pinback buttons, and small toys. Objects often highly prized in childhood that lose their allure as time passes before ultimately sliding to the backs of drawers and the floors of closets. Critic Ralph Rugoff referred to the memory wares as a sort of nostalgic folk art, works made using common, everyday materials to evoke a time and feeling easily recognizable to many of us who led middle-class American childhoods. And indeed, Kelley was playing into a long-standing folk art tradition in which artists applied small objects with personal meanings to various containers and wooden objects. In Kelley's case, however, these objects are not meaningful, but rather mundane. And Rugoff notes that the mundane nature of Kelley's materials point to an element of parody at play in these pieces as well. The juxtaposition of varying colors and unrecognizable forms evokes the tradition of abstract painting. Due to abstraction's avoidance of clear representations of the figures and objects that make up our world, abstract works are often positioned by historians and critics as being transcendent, timeless and supernatural in their integrity and simplicity, and totally detached from the specifics of human life. Two of the great pioneers of abstraction, Wassily Kandinsky and Hilma af Klint, viewed their paintings as spiritual practices. Kelley's memory wares, by contrast, do mimic the style of abstract painting, but they don't use any supernatural shapes or colors. Rather, these works are made up of materials deeply rooted in the specific time and place of a middle-class childhood. Materials which are extremely banal within this specific time and place. In other words, these are not universal truths. This is a box of old junk from our childhood. The works are relatable, not because they transcend human experience, but because they represent a fairly widely shared aspect of that experience. And yet, in spite of that commonality, Kelley's works also point to the elusiveness of any sort of shared narrative. Most of the works in the series are contained within wooden frames, making them look much like paintings. The frames certainly encourage the association with abstract art that I mentioned earlier. But Kelley may also be pointing to the way in which we frame or structure memories, especially memories of childhood. This idea of framing becomes most poignant in the final works in the series, when the frames disappear. In the final piece, Memory Ware number 60, even the shape has begun to shift, leaving us with an amorphous blob of objects, with some even protruding from the top. Orderly frames are incapable of containing the swirling mess of stuff that makes up these memories. As critic Marie de Brugerolle wrote, "This stuff, removed from its original context and congealed together, becomes residue, not relics, the stickily encrusted detritus of childhood." Though they may be dazzling at first, I think it's that sense of stickiness that predominates as I continue to look at these works. I can see individual objects, but it's impossible to pull them out. Everything is just stuck together in a giant mess, and there's a real heaviness to these pieces. The giant messy whole feels weighed down by its innumerable and now inextricable parts. To borrow from artist and critic David Salle, there is no redemption on offer in these works. Kelley retains the middle-class kitsch that most artists cast off, positioning it prominently in his work. But Kelley's use of kitsch isn't there to offer humor or camp. Rather, he seems wholly occupied with shame, humiliation, and the way these bad feelings harden into a permanent burden. Kelley took his own life in 2012, and as is often the case when artists suffer deaths of despair, much of his work is interpreted through the lens of his tragic ending. Given the rejection of closure in Kelley's Memory Ware series, I dislike the idea of wrapping this video up with a neat bow on it. Kelley shows us that memory is messy, so I'll leave you with the mess. Thanks so much for watching this one. I would really love to know your opinion about these works. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.